Yo, man, Bootleg podcast, special guest in here. The AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Swerve Strickland, is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo.
I got to talk to this guy at Rolling Loud, and since then, he has picked up this amazing piece of hardware.
Amazing. Hard work, hardware.
Yeah.
So
I got to ask you, man, like, it's kind of crazy because I had seen you're kind of like somebody on Twitter had posted, I guess, like a Twitter version of like your come up in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Like you had kind of went from like being kind of like underutilized and underappreciated in a different company to coming to AEW, and you've been making noise for, over a year now. And like, what's it feel like when you finally are able to put this on and like hold that thing up? Like,
man, it's literally like I'm probably the only one from like that 205 Live era to go into world heavyweight title status.
So crazy,
It's
205
like,
Live, yeah.
Yeah, so like, if you look at that roster, that crop of talent, I don't think people would have like really saw me as that at the time. There would have been like, I probably would have been the last choice or one of the last few choices of like one of the guys that could have been like the headliner, main eventer, world champion type material in that era. And like, I never would say like I was like underutilized or I just didn't have enough time there. Like you see a lot of guys who are main eventing over there now, they had a lot of time.
They've been a long time to marinate, get their character, make the fans care.
But also like build equity with the company.
Right.
Like, build time with them. They build, like, they grow. Like that's like Drew McIntyre is a prime example of that. Who's a guy who's like
the primest example. Yeah.
Who's there, but then got let go, but then came back, and then like, okay, now he has a lot more time and tenure, so now he can like grow with the audience, grow with the roster, grow with the staff, grow with the marketing team, departments, all.
He's made me like him, and I was
shout out Drew, he's a good
he's
homie.
Killing it. Yeah, he's killing it.
That's a homie. He's a homie. But like it's just like with that place, it's just about time and equity and putting in like just you just building chemistry and trust within that organization. And I just didn't have a lot of time there, and then they didn't allow me a lot of time.
Right.
If I would have, who knows what I would have been doing over there still? I don't know. Maybe maybe it wouldn't have gotten better. Maybe it would have. But like, that's just that's how the business works with these things. And I took my opportunity, and I built time and equity with Tony, and Tony trusted me from day one. Tony like literally was like, day one, I have plans for you. And I want to put you on to do what you do. Be you, be yourself, and go out there and perform, because that's what I'm getting. That's why I'm like bringing you in here to do.
Yeah, it's. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get the mic. Well, you can just pull it down.
No problem.
So that's one thing. Like with Tony, is it feels like he's like as much as he's a very successful guy, very wealthy guy. It feels like when he's running AEW, he runs like he's like a fan first, which I think is a very cool approach to like wrestling, because we've always seen like certain people where we're like, man, I wish that guy would get over, or that guy would get an opportunity. And I feel like Tony's the guy who's on Twitter like, I wish that guy would get an opportunity. But he's running the company.
Yeah.
What is like what do you think are the misconceptions about Tony Khan, and like what are some things that like you've already kind of learned just being so close to somebody like that who's a powerful guy, He's a guy that likes good wrestling. Yeah. He's literally like, as far as like what he likes, he's one of the fans. And when it comes to that, he just likes to see good wrestling. And that's what All Elite Wrestling is mainly about. Like, how you went over the fan base is like, you got to do it in the ring. Like, there's certain guys and certain people, certain acts and certain performers, they get opportunities to do it in other different ways, and that's great. But like, ultimately, it's a wrestling company. It's literally like, primarily, we like have the best wrestling, and to be the top of that card, be the top of the company, you got to perform. And in the time when All Elite Wrestling started, that was kind of deprived on national television. Oh, for sure.
For a while.
It's definitely a dark era over at the other spot.
But they've always had great talent, though.
For sure.
It was just like the product was primarily something what they wanted to present, something that was sports entertainment. Right. That's what they built the bread and butter from.
Right.
That's what they do, and like nobody does it better than them. We wanted to build our narrative, our alternative to what's unique to us and what the fan base was missing at the time,
and what the industry needed. And it was just like, we need an alternative. We need some place where even people that were over there that really wanted to break out and just deliver the type of wrestling they wanted to do, not the type of wrestling that they want to show, the type of wrestling they wanted to do, show their art. And All Elite Wrestling gave them that. And you've seen Moxley come over, you know, like showing his rejuvenation in the wrestling
Bryan
business.
Bryan Danielson,
rejuvenated. Adam Cole, rejuvenated. Myself, rejuvenated. And letting the creators and the artists create in the art. Christian. Like, showing, like, another, like, man, he can run with this thing another 5-10 years if he wanted to, you know.
Just a hell of a heel. He always was such a good heel too.
Right.
It's
but also AEW allowed him to like really push the boundaries on the material as well. You know, like there's certain like
certain stuff that you guys will do.
Yeah. Even the source material, like you can't say certain things like talking about dead fathers and stuff. Like there's certain ways you can't like really go in a WWE with AEW.
Right.
Tony really he gets a kick out of like pushing the boundaries a little bit more on national television, and you know that's where competition always really stemmed from in pro wrestling.
I was going to ask you like when you get over there, right? Because you know it's so hard. I love watching wrestling. I have a surface level understanding of what's going on with AEW at all times, but like I told you before the start, like it's harder for me to watch it because I don't have cable and shit, but. I love wrestling. I watch every pay-per-view. I try to go to at least 3 or 4 a year. Could you kind of like give me an idea of what it's like? Like you get to AEW, what are the things that you feel like, okay, I have to do this, or this to start to make the fans give a fuck about me? Because to me, that's the hardest thing. Is like there's so many guys that are really good at wrestling and they can put on great matches, they can take great bumps, they can make guys look good. But it's like the X factor is like, how do you get the people to give a fuck about you like that? Because that's where this comes into play. That's you know what I mean? And to me that like you said, you didn't have time to even figure that out really with WWE. So like what were the things that you were able to kind of like conscientiously do to kind of like make people really give a fuck?
For me, it was always about like what lane isn't being taken up. For me, that's where I first start thinking.
Smart.
I look at, I observe the landscape of like everything. I start with my home base, which was All Elite Wrestling. I look at the roster, male, female, managers, groups, factions, management, managers. I look everywhere. Then I look at the archetypes. What archetypes are being taken up? You know, is there the jocks? There's the the artists. Then there's the dark characters of the House of Black. Okay, so you look at all of these type of things. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, where do I fit in with these things? And then also like, what's something unique about myself that I know, that I truly know about myself, that I can really portray and display to the world in my way. Where's my voice? It's like, look at this. Like, it's almost the music industry. Look at all these albums. I'm like, all these albums that you see right here tell different stories. They have different archetypes. They have different looks.
Right.
It's like, how does a speaker box like stand out to a Ready to Die from Biggie? How does a College Dropout with Kanye West stand toe to toe with a Carter 3 with Wayne?
Right.
You know, how does the Chronic with the Dog Pound and like all these things? So you're just looking at like, where can I get in, where I fit in, figure it out. Then of course it's AEW. It has to be proven in the ring.
You got to go out there and wrestle your ass off.
You got to prove it in the ring. You got to prove it in the ring. Promos are amazing, and I would say it's 60-40.
Wrestling to promo or promo to wrestling?
Wrestling to promo. 60% in the ring, 40%. Another place is like more, maybe flip the other way. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like,
for sure.
But
hell, there's been guys that's been 90-10 promo to wrestling,
and they've had long, illustrious careers.
Some of them haven't.
Yeah. Some people like, and there's very few people like that can do that. Like even at MJF, he's like heavy promo. But at the end of the day, he goes out there and he proves it in the ring, and he wrestles his ass off and he shows out. You know, so
that guy got a hell of a tan when he was away. By the way.
Oh yeah, brutal.
He came out and said he looks like he came straight from Cancun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Probably was. Like all that rest, man.
Yeah.
But he was also working. His body shows it. He looks great.
Sure.
But so then you also got to find out once again. You start all over again in the ring. Where do I fit in? What lane is being taken up? The luchadors. They're killing it.
Right.
Like you can't. It's very hard to compete with like a Vikingo, a Phoenix.
Right. You're not going to out luchador the luchadors.
You can't out lucha the luchadors. Then just like the grappling and the Greco-Roman style. It's like, well, Bryan Danielson's is the best in the world at that. So then you just kind of like narrow it down. So it's just for me, it's just like something that's really I like film. I'm a big fan of like film and horror.
Right.
So I was like, horror mixed with a hip hop mogul. That's two different genres, but if I bleed these together, I can kind of create something very unique and
Something
new.
that's never been done.
Maybe. Like,
I don't remember that ever.
But just for that sake, it was just like it's so far fetched, and like if you say it out there, it's like you say it out loud, it's like that doesn't make sense. How do you make that happen? It's like okay, take like a Snoop Dogg Bones.
Shout out to Bones, man.
Yeah.
Shit, that showed us how great of an actor Snoop wasn't.
Yeah,
But true.
But it fits. And then I'll take like I'm a Wesley Snipes fan. Then there's like a New Jack City, a Blade, a Demolition Man.
Yeah, Demolition Man. Yeah.
So there's all these like little elements. I'm like, these are images that I like. That I
Almost
think
like you're putting your mood board together, kind of.
It's in a sense, but it's just I never put anything on.
Nah,
paper.
but like mentally, you're like, yeah.
It's just like that's what's going on in my head. I'm just throwing all these things out there.
And you're also like you also do hip hop like in real life.
Right. So I'm like, how do I be like? And I know like the Acclaimed had like the hip hop, the rapping thing going on. So I was like, okay, how do I do? I'm still hip hop, but I don't want to clash.
You don't want to be
with
there.
them.
Yeah.
I want to be something business sense. So I was a mogul, kind of doing a lot of things as is, like acting and podcasting and music and music videos. I direct them all my music videos, producing and all that stuff. So like that's kind of a mogul thing. So I just came up with mogul to feel like just something bigger than just rapping. So that's how that came about. And then there was like elements of like when after the All In match and going in the coffin and stuff, I was like, I'm a big fan of Sweeney Todd. So I was like, let me add a little like darkness to the eyes, make me feel let me go sink a little more deeper into the character and darken it up a little bit more to feel like, all right, something's different about Swerve than any other person on this roster.
Right.
And he's giving me a different tone and feel, but I never actually tell you what it is. I want the fans to kind of like go through in my
each
category.
Week, it gets,
each week, but I want them to go back and try to find and trace through where this really crept in and really started. So now you're kind of having fans doing their own like picking apart and find a like kind of like once again when we used to buy albums back in the day, we used to go through the booklets.
Oh, for sure.
We used to
like
search.
Who produced what?
Yeah, who produced what?
Yeah.
The art. Who's did the art direction? Who did this?
Yeah. Let me look at the thank yous. Who got thanked in this album?
Who the credit is? I kind of want fans to do that with me, the character.
That's fire.
Rather than just like look at me and see what you're getting. Like, oh, we like him, but what's more there? There's something more deeper. Let me go out and find and search what's deeper with Swerve.